Hi everyone! So today I wanted to talk to you about some of my favorite art books. I've got a variety of books here. Some of them are picture books, some of them are more like artist books. So I will start with the art books first, like the more painters books. So this is one of my favorite painters, Felix Valentin. I saw his work at the Portland Art Museum. They did an exhibition. I just really love the graphic style that he does. He also does a lot of, I believe they're wood cut or woodblock prints. So just kind of black and white. He's really good at creating containment in his work and with the shape design of framing. So like the lady here and how he kind of has everything framed by like the shadow line leads into here. So he was part of the Nabi, which was a group of painters in France, and just his color design was just really interesting. The Nabi were known for their like images of kind of domestic and family life. Let me see if I can find his landscape. Oh, here. I just love his landscapes. The same kind of thing, how he blocks things out and has, like larger shapes of color, these like sweeping lines. So this is what I was looking for, is the landscape section. I just love the colors like of this blue with the reflection of the water, but then the simplicity of the land. And how he has these marks that, it's very dark. And the abstractness of his work is just, I just love it so much. And I love how he uses color, and like in here with the orange of the tree. And then he did some still life too. And then these are his prints that he did. Yeah, woodcut on paper. There's a lot of cats in his work as well. How he kind of has some sequential work. It's a lot of narrative. But I think that you can learn a lot from prints like this, and you can tell how his prints lead into his paintings as well, with his emphasis on shape and value, contrast. But yeah, so there is this book, Felix, it's the Royal Academy of Arts book. And the next two books are the same artist as Milton Avery, and I realize this is also Royal Academy of Arts. Also, sorry about the light. I feel like the sun is coming and going. But Milton Avery did a lot of landscape. I feel like he's known for his landscape, and kind of abstracted forms. To be honest, I don't always read what's written in the books. But his use of color and shape and how he simplifies and abstracts the landscape, I just love it so much. There's some smaller things. So this was some of his earlier work. So it looks like 1910, 1918. So you can see how his work changed over time. I think this is one of my favorites of his, just like the softness and like these mustard colors and just this soft like hazy pink beige in the background for the sky. There's really something about it. It creates more mood and atmosphere. But you can see kind of how his style, like there's a thread throughout it, but when he draws separate subjects, And it's interesting too because Felix Valentin, he also drew, there's several of his theater paintings. And I think over time, Milton Avery's work just got more abstracted and more focused on shapes. I love this one with this alligator. It's so cute. This makes me just want to have more whimsy and still life. And I like how he does figures as well. And this is just so fascinating how he has the figure here that blends into the background and it's flat. That same kind of purpley color as that one landscape. And then here are later ones too, 1944. And all of his work is oil, by the way. But you can really see how he leaned into these like ultra abstracted emphasis on color. Love, love, love this one. Same kind of like, this is a sunset. I mean, it's called Sea and Sand Dunes. This is 1955, so you can see the like progression and his abstraction goes even further. Oh, this is watercolor on paper. I'd be curious if he did more watercolor or if like that's not in too many collections. But there is the Milton Avery painting book. And then I have the drawings of Milton Avery. I got this as a used copy. But you can, I did read some of this, I think, of the introduction, but it's just really fascinating to see his paintings, because I got his paintings book first, and then I got this one. You can see the energy in his mark making, but also the simplicity of the line. You can see how some of his barks kind of blend into his paintings as well. It's probably charcoal, I would imagine, maybe. And you can see a lot of these are in his sketchbook that he would probably take out with him, or like some of his compositional studies, probably like a value study. This is Coney Island sketches. So he probably did these on location, I would imagine. You can see how quick and simple they all are. He was just getting down the shape. Beach studies. I love this. That lady, that angle. And you can see this is probably a sketchbook page. Just like the different versions of the same subject. Wonder if this was ink, probably. It's the value study of contrast and how he did more here. Maybe probably some scenes of the people in his life, like his wife, I think, or his daughter. But even though the sketches are so simple, you can still see the movement, like the leg and how it's resting on her other leg. Oh, and then here we go, getting into the landscape. So you can see these, quick marks, like hurried marks, and there's some notes that he made, like dark green here, yellow green maybe here. This says rock. And then kind of how he creates these marks moves into his paintings as well. Some value sketches. And I think, so he would use those. And I read that, especially he has a lot of paintings, like I think he would spend a lot of time in Vermont. And so he would do all these sketches and then go back into the studio. I mean, this is so fascinating. So this is green sea, gray sky, and you can see just how I wonder if this was charcoal, just creating this value composition. I'm gonna have to edit out so many sniffles. Some still life, all this movement, birds with ruffled sea. I love that. This was probably oil. I do wonder if some of these were in color maybe, and then when the book was printed, I'm not really sure. Oh, all these dog drawings, so cute. I feel like also looking at sketches like this, you just see how much work goes behind a painting and how these are so quick. So when you make a quick sketch in your sketchbook or whatever, and it doesn't look like perfect or realistic or whatever, like it's all about play, and if for this artist at least. This looks like a print. I wonder if this was too, actually. This looks like a print of some kind. All these chickens, seeing how he approaches the same scene over and over again. I would honestly say this might be one of my favorite books that I own. There is that one. This is The Drawings of Milton Avery by Bert Chernow, with a foreword by Sally Avery. And that was his wife, I believe. Next up, I have this book by Mary Fedden. You might have... I've seen several other artists who really love her work as well, but she's really well known for her still lifes. I'm just going to flip through some of these. But she also worked in gouache as well. This one's gouache. And I definitely see a theme when I'm going through these books that also, this is such an interesting composition. Both of these actually, that there's not really any, it's pretty flat, like this space, but the apples here next to the flowers just tell a story, the way that they're angled here. And then the way that this matches the water. But a lot of shape design and containment, like windows, how there's the curtain, the flatness of it. But even with the flatness, there's still emphasis on texture with the paint. Looking at things like this, like paintings, it makes me want to get back into oil paint. But oh, I love this one, and these two next to each other, those colors, so inspiring. But it makes me want to get back into oil paint, except I know that I will just not. I think, like I've said I think it was my video on art supplies I regret buying, I'm just kind of a messy person, and I need an easy cleanup, and oil paint just does not function in that way. This one, just how the bowl is flat, so it has that, but there's so much narrative to the piece. And this book is really, here's some drawings. You can see how she works with negative space as well. That's really interesting. I love this drawing, Garden Walk. Yeah, it's in pencil. A couple more drawings. She was another artist who would go out on location. Oh, here's her, from her sketchbook. And she would work from her, like take those back to the studio and work from those sketches. Also another artist who does a lot of cats and a lot of birds as well, which I can very much appreciate. And including the cats and the birds within her still lifes. I love this, how she abstracted this. And I feel like it's really helpful even if you're an illustrator and not just a fine artist. There's so much overlap in terms of how artists work, and you can learn so much from each focus. So there is that, Mary Fedden. And next I'm going to move on to illustrators or children's books. So this is Whim of the Wind, and it's Mish Winans. So this is an older book. I actually don't know. I think it's from the 60s. I think she's a French, 1974. I think she's a French illustrator. I could be wrong. I'm guessing a lot of this was just done in either crayon or colored pencil. And to be honest, I don't think I fully read this story, but I love the textures and the shape design. I think this is something that this illustrator does so well. And the use of negative space, like this is a window, obviously, but the window is just communicated. I think there's also some collage in here too, like with the face. You can kind of, oh yeah, totally collage. You can see the cut paper. And her use of pattern as well. I think her, as well as Mary Fedden, both just did such a great job with pattern of textiles. So interesting. I kind of want to I want to get back into master studies and do some of these. This looks like there might be some sort of maybe vellum on top of here, I wonder. There's some sort of clear like tracing paper. How she has the clouds is so inspiring. And these end pages, this reminds me of, if anyone's seen Charlotte Auger, I think is how you pronounce it. I probably am wrong. Reminds me of her work. I have one of her zine or like short books or zines, and this reminds me a lot of that. Next up, this is Cloth Lullaby by, it's illustrated by Isabelle Arsenault and written by Amy Novesky. I mean, come on, this probably, I think she works in ink a lot, but also, fun fact, I got this book used from Powell's, and in it there was a print of hers, and you can tell that it was a print because it had 0 out of like 290 or something, and it was signed, and on it there was a letter, a handwritten letter signed by Isabelle Arsenault, and it says, "For Carson." And I don't know, so I got this in Portland, and Carson Ellis, if you're familiar with that artist, illustrator, lives outside of Portland as well. Could this be for Carson Ellis? I don't know, but that's my story, is that this was Carson Ellis's book. So I don't know, pretty crazy. But I love her layering and varying textures and like the atmospheric feel, color palette. Sorry, I feel like the camera's a little shaky. feel like how she does, like, plays with space and narrative is pretty unexpected in all of these spreads. I love how there's not like a line for where the wall meets the floor. It's just communicated with the shadow. Again, textiles. I'm really drawn to textiles and color and pattern. This also just really, I feel like Isabelle Arsenault just really thinks outside the box in terms of composition. Like, this is so, like, how she has the character here, and this is water, but within it is pattern. And for those of you who don't know, Louis Bourgeois was a artist as well, and did spider, like a large spider. So weaving was her way to make things whole. There she is. Super cool. So that's Cloth Lullaby. Next up, I have The Promise. This is illustrated by Laura Carlin and written by Nicola Davies. I think this was my first Laura Carlin picture book I have of hers. She works, I believe, in primarily watercolor, colored pencil, and acrylic. Something, of course, besides her textures, I think she's a very well-known illustrator, obviously, so a lot of you might know her already. Her text design is amazing. I'm just always blown away. Wonder if this is Lunar Blue in there for anybody who loves watercolor. I've wondered that. She uses that. But just, I mean, so inspiring. Also, sorry, I think I'm losing the light here. So the book starts off with less color, and then as things go along, there's little bits of color start to show up. You can tell that she might have, painted some negative space with this tree and then went back over it with colored pencil or maybe more washes. And I think I heard she works smaller than what the size of the book is. I wonder, and I wondered that before I heard it. I think it was Frances Ives who mentioned that. And because the textures and like the granulation is so blown up in a good way, like there's that maybe Lunar Blue potentially. This is the cover. And then here we have color with the trees and just how she works with, I think I'm really drawn to that as well with artists who work with, white backgrounds. And kitty, you see that cat? Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. And these trees and just how she uses such loose watercolor washes with the colored pencil. Just reminds you how fascinating layering can be. And I use that a lot in my thesis, layering different materials like soft pastel as well. And these end papers are just absolutely crazy. All right, so I've got one more book here, and I'm gonna kind of flip through this a little faster just because, which is such a shame, but the light is really fading. This is The Forest by Violeta Lopez, I believe, and Valerio Vidali. And this is by Enchanted Lion. And so this book is so fascinating because it is embossed. And so when you look at it, and I think my copy, I think I got it used. It might be supposed to be connected here. I'm not totally sure. But so you can see through the eyes, obviously, to the next page. Yeah. But I mean, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I love bugs. But even there's some elements of embossed right there, which I didn't think I really realized before. And again, that emphasis on shape design. Surprise, surprise. It just creates this really magical feeling. I think I have one other book of the books that Violeta Lopez illustrated. But, I mean, gorgeous. You can see the kids are just part in the forest, but they're not the focus. And then here, more embossing with the background. I think that this book was out of print for a while. And then recently, like within the last 6 months or so, it came back into print. So if anyone is interested in getting the copy, I think you can get it through Enchanted Lion. But looking at books like this or work like this, it just makes me like when I go out and paint or draw on the landscape, you know, how do you abstract the forms? Maybe it's not fully about representing exactly what you see. Let's see here. It's a little confusing. Love this page with that red layered over. Okay, I think this is the last page. Oh, there we go. I hope that this video brought you some inspiration and that this, you know, maybe fills your cup a little bit and makes you want to go paint. I know it definitely makes me want to. And thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.